since he echoed his own grandfather's feelings about things.
Yes.
Because, as you know, he was not very happy.
Yeah.
And he spent more time in Denmark. I think he loved it out there.
Oh yes.
And
Grandma
so
didn't know
that's
any
the
of this.
story of my father. But then I didn't know that all this was going on with Auntie Louie and after Auntie Louie's death, but my grandmother would have known all this. It was kept from me, and if you ask my father anything, the answer was, it's none of your business.
Well, you're his daughter.
Where I
Yeah,
talked to,
that's right.
That's
when
a
I talked to
father-daughter
Karen,
thing, I'm
he
sure.
wouldn't talk to me about that side of things at all.
No.
So when he came down to me and my grandparents moved, then my grandfather died. Now you'd be too young to remember this, wouldn't you? My grandfather dying.
Yeah, I should imagine so.
Yes, you were only little. And my father wouldn't even go to his father's funeral in Birmingham.
Oh.
And I think it was, Uncle Frank was dead, but I think it was your father and Uncle Len, between them, sent my father a stinking telegram. And my grandmother finally went back and came back to me in Bristol and cut herself off
Oh, did she?
from the rest of the family.
Yes. Because she was upset by
She was upset that
by
they
their
were.
attitude.
The trouble with families, unless you get and talk to one another, you miss out.
That's what rifts in
You miss out.
That's
So
right.
they didn't see my father's side,
No.
and he was upset about it, and he wouldn't go back after that. And then she came back to me. And
Yeah.
I've always wondered why. Now I do understand. There was a rift there. It's funny, but that was the generation when all the rifts began.
Yes.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
So you have a sister, but you've got no nieces and nephews or anything
No.
like that. Does your husband have brothers and sisters? Oh, so you're more or less
cousins, because
but-
he's got a big family on his mother's side.
Oh, has he?
Because his
Yes.
mother's one of 8.
So that he's got cousins.
They're
there.
all up in
Oh, you do
Cambridge.
now?
They're
Are
north,
they?
you see,
Yeah,
up
that's
East
right.
Anglia.
So Caroline.
Well, we're not that far from
No, you're not,
Cambridge,
are you?
I
You
suppose.
see,
We're
not
on a
north,
line,
that
I
Warwickshire,
expect. Yes,
you
that's
see,
right.
So but his parents
yeah, Lou-
did that, you see.
Yeah, Louis
They
didn't
moved
have any
away.
No,
children.
you've got
did
my
they?
father,
Down
Hildred.
south,
Yeah,
his father
yeah,
got
so-
a teaching
well,
job
Caroline
down here in
married
Wittery.
Hildred.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
she
on the
came
coast.
away.
Karen
wanted to
married
move away
Hildred,
from the
yes,
family,
and then
that's
had
it.
Hildred.
So that's
Yeah,
get
and
it,
then-
yeah.
Then he had
Others.
me, he had me,
Yeah.
only me, I'm an only one.
Well, what about you? Where do your family come
And then I had
My parents
Rachel
live
and
in
Karen.
Staines,
from? Yeah.
and that's
Lorraine,
Is that where you were born?
well, I was born in a place called Windlesham, but just that's not far. It's near
no,
Ascot.
good, yeah.
What have we got
and
there?
That's
No,
where
no,
I was
that's wrong,
born,
yeah.
and
That's
I
wrong.
I've
Yeah,
lived
yeah.
in
So
that
Hildred,
area.
no, Hildred had.
That's
all of
right,
my
that's my
life
father you've
until
got.
I
Now
was
you
Hildred
want to
had, yeah,
22.
Hildred
I
had
was married
Hildred.
Yeah.
to somebody who
Any-
worked
any
in a
other?
bank. He was a bank manager.
Did they have
And
any
so
other?
we then
No, I was an only
proceeded
child.
To
No,
we
no,
went
I
to
mean,
Yorkshire.
No,
Caroline.
We worked there for a
Hildred.
little while, and then
Did-
we came
the
down
grandfather Hildred.
No,
Market
no, my
Harbour,
grandparents
which
didn't
is
have
in
any more.
So it's
Leicestershire.
just Hildred.
Just Hildred,
he
was
and
the only.
that's married.
Where I live in Market Harbour.
Do you have any?
Well, he
I've
married.
got 2 children, and they're
Um,
25
you, that was-
and
and then
22.
Hildred-
Yes,
I've got a
and
Hildred
daughter
married-
And I
25,
came along.
who's the same
Lorena.
age as Jenny.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And
And
a
I've got
son
the
who's
2 girls.
22.
Rachel is the
So,
elder.
yeah, so
And
that,
Karen.
but my sister and my mum and dad
Rachel,
live
Rachel.
in Ashford and Staines. So,
And Karen.
Karen,
so
and
I'm
Karen
the
has
only
Katie
one
Ann.
who's moved away, you see, but
Karen married.
Trying to write all this.
Is she all right? You're going to phone her to make
No,
sure.
not at all.
I do more worrying than they do
I'm
nowadays.
sorry, I've forgotten your husband's name.
Stephen.
Stephen,
That's
right.
him.
Uh,
You don't want his family tree, do you?
this
No, he's got it, his family tree. One
Stephen.
of his members of his family's
Oh, is
been
it?
doing
Has
that,
he?
Yeah.
oh,
that's
have they? Yeah, no,
brilliant,
I
yeah.
think it's quite.
You see, his mother does
I hear that you're throwing this part of it to Chris, and he's doing it.
The family tree that
Family
Chris
tree.
is doing, but we'll investigate.
I am so
Yeah.
glad to hear
We've
these boys
started
are
it
together
off.
again. It's really
Yeah.
worried me over the years. I've always
that's
felt
it,
this
isn't it? A
terrific
family
rift
thing,
between.
and now together.
Oh no, you
Well, no.
see Chris-
As soon as Sue was out the way, then you know.
Well, you
Chris
can
and
see
myself
what your
were
mother
fine
felt
then.
about Chris, can't you, in that letter? Did you read it?
I didn't
Yes,
know.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Nobody really was taking any interest in her. She was very sorry for herself. She wasn't like that when
I took
I
an
think the
interest
loss
in
of
her
your
all the
father
while,
did
yeah.
was the thing that really.
Yeah. The thing is as well, Christine obviously didn't find it easy to make friends. She was a fairly introvert person, and I mean that's from my opinion, from knowing her for the last 7 years.
Well, I'll tell you this, I didn't know you existed.
Oh, didn't you?
No.
Well, that
It was
doesn't
me that
surprise
told
me.
you.
Yes,
Right.
it was Karen that
David
told me
said-
from
That's
talking.
your
thought-
originals.
Because
Oh
Tom
right.
said to me,
That's photocopies of that lot.
David,
Oh right, that's
It
lovely.
They're
seems
photocopies in a
strange,
slightly
but we
peculiar way because they're not. My fax machine will not cope with anything that isn't A4 very
Oh
well.
yeah.
Oh
No,
right.
that's fine.
Oh yeah, of
So
course.
some of them
Yeah.
have gone over.
I had the same problem with mine this morning. I thought I can't get
So
this.
they're copied in a slightly strange way, but
That's
that's all.
great.
That's lovely,
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you.
That's
you'll be
lovely.
going home and
And the photographs that we've just taken, that was the best
Yes.
of them. I've just dropped on the
Oh,
list.
that's lovely.
Let's have a
Oh
look.
right, that's good.
That's
That's
Yeah.
marvellous.
Mm,
Gosh,
yes.
all the gosses.
let's have a look. Well,
The
I don't know.
Christine has always been very protective
There's a
of
slightly
you,
better one that you can
hasn't
take
she?
if you want.
Thank you, love. Thank you, Stephen.
Christine was always very protective of David, and maybe it was because he was the youngest, I don't know, and you lived closer to her than the others.
Yeah, but also because when my father died, I had to sort of take over.
You were effectively becoming
And
the
you know, I
man
had to
of-
take
this is
a
what
house
happens.
hunting. We had to make the
Yes,
decisions
together.
together. I had to do the decorating, the
That's
fitting
right,
of the
yeah,
carpets,
yeah.
everything else. So we
'Cause
only
you were
really
the
had.
closest there anyway.
Well, we only
I
had
suppose,
one
so-
another, so we
That's
both
Well,
helped
Chris
each
lived
other
up in
to.
Hull then, didn't
That's
he?
right.
He'd
Yeah,
already.
yeah.
Am I right in thinking that you really did take it very hard, your father?
Oh, she's devastated, I think, by your father.
Yeah,
dying.
but of late, I mean, she actually said to me only a year
That one
ago.
came
She
like that.
said, like, I'm closer to you than your father for the simple reason that I actually known you longer than I knew your father now. It's sort of like,
Weird, isn't it?
and she had that
It's
opinion
about
of,
grandma.
yeah, but I mean, if she never sort of said, you know, I miss your dad and a lot of the time. It's sort of,
That's
it's
funny
got
that.
to, she felt very hurt that he, you know, that he died
And left her.
and left her, yeah.
But there's some beautiful love letters that he'd written to her
Yeah.
when he was
In the forces.
in the forces, and it makes you realise that they obviously were very much in love
Oh, they were. That's what I.
and devoted
Oh,
to
yes.
one
Oh,
another.
yes.
And it must have been terrible for her at a fairly early part of her life
Well,
to suddenly be on
I
her
can
own
remember
again.
they were actually married on my father's birthday,
Oh, did they?
on the 30th, the 12th of November, on my father's 30th birthday.
Yeah.
And I can always remember their 50th wedding anniversary.
Oh, yeah.
And I forgot to phone her, and she rang me and she said, Narina, have you forgotten what today is? And of course I remembered it. I said, oh, of course, Christine.
Yeah.
I never forgot it after that,
No.
last years of her life.
No.
But yes,
Yeah.
they were married on my father's birthday.
That's
so,
right.
I said, oh yes, it's my. Oh yes, I suddenly came to, you know.
That's right. I thought it
So
was.
just to recap on that, sort of when you said the family was in the 30s, were all great. You know, you get all these family parties and where they all met at what was the house again?
Vi-
What was that?
What was the house name?
Vendale.
Vendale.
So you had all those parties there, so everything was fine in the family.
Oh yes, the
But-
family was absolutely
Yeah.
marvellous. When I grew up.
Yeah.
In those years growing up, I mean, it was a wonderful family to
And
be in.
then the rift happened
The
when.
rifts began to come then after that. And they started, I suppose, things were all right as I was in my teens. Things were still fine because we had a big party at Minworth. We got the hall across the way, the village hall, and my father got all the relatives together on my mother's side as well.
Yes.
Because my grandfather was Welsh, my grandmother was Austrian,
Yeah.
and they pulled them all together except the Jewish side. We couldn't find anybody.
No.
And they had a coach and brought them all. Auntie Gladys and my Uncle Len came to stay. Uncle Frank and Auntie Louie came to stay. They very often did come to stay. And my father was
Yes.
into things like hill climbing and Shelsley Walsh and cars. And of course he used to go to the Grand Prix, you know, what is it? Where it's just been in
Yeah,
England.
Silverstone.
Silverstone.
Yes.
And Uncle Len used to go with him, and your father used to go with him.
Yes.
And they used to go off, and we used to be together, Auntie Louie and
Oh, so my father used to go to
and,
Silverstone. Oh, I didn't know
Auntie
that.
Louie and Christine and the children and myself. We either were at my place or we used to go to your place. You weren't born then, obviously.
No.
and everything was fine. And because my grandmother kept the family, I've often think it all began to go to pieces when my grandmother left.
So that was
Yeah.
Caroline.
It was when my grandmother came away
Yeah.
that things seemed to dodder.
Deteriorate, really.
And then the trouble came up, obviously.
So Caroline moved
Because
to Bristol. was
she
it?
came, you see, and Auntie
Yeah.
Louie and Auntie Gladys were still alive.
Yes.
And I suspect then that, you see, at the time that my grandmother came back, when did Auntie Louie die? Do you remember the year?
That was 1968.
Oh, when my grandmother died first.
Oh,
No,
did
so
you?
I'm wrong there. She wouldn't have known about that.
No.
And it must have been that after that, because
Huh.
my father, by that time, was still very off the family and hadn't been in touch for years.
Oh.
And by that time, he'd severed his ties with his mother as well. So my grandmother was in Bristol. I then went down to Wolverhampton because my husband was moved on from teaching and he went down to Wolverhampton.
Yes.
And she had a flat there at East Shrubbery and she died. She just simply went one morning having a breakfast.
Oh,
and
did
the
she?
people who her flat was in found her. And they had to send the police to let my father know.
Oh, did they? Yes.
And they came down, but whether they ever went to his funeral, I don't know, but he wouldn't tell his aunts. My mother had to write and tell his aunts.
Oh.
And apparently that was when the rumpus began. They were terribly upset.
Yes.
And it was, as Christine said to me, she was their sister.
Yes. Yeah.
Christine reckoned she'd never hear anything of us again, and then one day before, just not long before he died, my father got in touch with her.
Oh,
And I've always been glad about that
Yes.
because we are here today.
thanks
Because
to
my
that.
father, who'd always been so part of the family, so close to the family, and looked after your mother as if she was his little
Yeah.
sister.
Yes.
He rang her. She
There
said
you are, there's those
she was
addresses
Oh,
absolutely.
thank you.
She was
He's been
absolutely
working very
thrilled.
hard.
Well, you've got loads of surplus paper
She
there.
was
You wanted
absolutely
that
thrilled to bits.
Yes,
She said
got
it
to
was
work it out.
marvellous. So when
Yes.
I went to Herne Bay, she was determined she was going to come and see me,
Keep in
and she
touch.
Yes.
came.
Yes.
That's
That's right,
good
yeah.
stuff. She came a couple of times, didn't
She came
Yeah.
twice.
Yeah.
And brought me all the news,
Yes.
and we re-established the contact
Yeah.
properly. But
Yes.
if my father hadn't done that, I don't know that we'd have all been sitting here. We
No.
might have been, but I don't think it's quite the same way. Because I can remember right back when, before your mother and father married, she got in with some man that the family didn't like. And she went off out
did,
one
sorry?
Sunday
Your,
with
I
that.
think
Mum.
your
Oh,
mum,
right.
this is
I
all
was
the
little, you
gossip.
see, and I got ears that listened. I did,
Yes,
and
yes.
my
You must have been a very cheeky little girl.
No, I
Yeah.
wasn't, funnily enough, but
Inquisitive.
I was
I think so,
always
yes. There.
curious.
Yes.
And I was
Curious.
about, and they took no notice of me. I mean, in that sense, everybody talked to me as if there was no, and
No reason you shouldn't
most
have
of it all
done that.
came in and stayed,
Yeah.
as far as
Yeah.
I was concerned. And I can remember there was this terrible rumpus one Sunday afternoon. And I can't remember how we happened to all be together, but Auntie Louie and Uncle Frank and my parents were together, and I think my grandparents came into it somewhere, and they felt that Christine ought to be parted. They'd gone off to Sutton Park,
Right.
and it just couldn't be. And my father, like his mother, had determined that he knew what was right,
Yes.
so went after her and fetched her back.
Oh.
That was the end of that. So he was always for the family, and this was it. So
And
I
protective.
think in the end, of course, he did get back in touch with Christine. But yes, they were a very close family, and then, as I say, the rifts began. I've always wanted, haven't I, to heal the family back.
Oh, excuse
Together.
me.
So I'm not quite sure why was the actual rift started?
It
Yeah.
started, I think, really, probably, after my grandmother came from Birmingham. I know when she came from
Yeah.
Birmingham,
Yeah.
they think they felt very deserted, the other two sisters. I know Barbara said to me there was complete consternation that she'd come away.
Yeah.
And
Your grandmother.
then when she went back, you see, she returned back again
Oh, did she?
and left them again for me.
Oh,
This
yes.
is going to have another visit.
See, she left them again for me. I think she knew. She and my father had a sort of second sight where life and where we were concerned as a family, and I think she knew I was heading for some trouble, marital trouble, and things were difficult, and she was determined. She came, and she was marvellous, but
Yeah.
then she always was. I can see why they would have felt bereft without her.
Yes.
They depended very much on her being there.
Because she was the
strength.
matriarch,
She was the
really.
yes, she was the strength. She was the eldest, and she came back to be with me. And of course, she had Karen a lot at that
Who's
time.
this?
We were your great grandma. We were in her
remember.
flat. You don't even remember being in her flat, and you would have been 8.
Yeah,
You don't remember it?
vaguely,
It's amazing. I
vaguely.
suppose things get blotted out, probably because, in a sense, Karen may have known things were going wrong. But I mean,
That's
So
right.
your grandmother was
Caroline.
Caroline. That's
Caroline.
it, right? That's good.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's
She
when, from
married
what
her,
I
but
can see,
then
talking
Hilda-
to
yeah,
you, that
that's it,
things
yeah.
began to really
That's
shake.
right,
Yeah,
yeah.
And she, you
Oh,
enjoying
that's
this?
marvellous.
You
Thank
enjoying
you
this?
ever so much.
Oh, that's
Done.
brilliant.
That
Sorry
really
to put
is
you
good
to all
of
this
you.
work.
That's all right. I like
Yeah.
playing actually.
Well, I said to you a minute ago, one of your family's just done this for your family, Linda,
Well,
hasn't she?
started to.
Very in depth
Yeah.
with it. All,
Yes,
all on
yeah.
CD.
Well,
and
we
whatnot.
probably started. When did we
Remember
say?
that?
2001.
Well, I started when I was a teenager.
Yeah,
Didn't
yeah.
get very far. And then,
Yes, well, I knew David was
But
interested.
in
You said a long
2001.
time ago, didn't you, about
yes,
that?
yeah.
Did you do
And,
in the German thing? For the
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've done
that's
that.
there.
Yes, that's
And
there.
we
so
will
I'll,
definitely contact
yes,
that
yeah.
and sort that
Mm.
part
Yeah, that's right.
out and see
yes,
where we
yeah.
If you want to
We
get,
never
as I
know.
say, that's how I'd do it. I'd go through to Munich and
Yeah.
do as
Yeah.
they say.
Yeah.
Give him your great grandfather's
Well, you have to
name
give them as
and
much as
we
you
can,
can,
what they
yeah.
were, and see in the
That's right.
in the registry of births, and that they can go back into that 90. They ought to be able to
Yes.
and find whether there was a family.
Any
that
family.
uprooted
Let's
it
come this
themselves.
way.
That's my
And-
email address.
Oh, thank you
Oh,
very
right.
much. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
Always the
lovely.
easy way to keep in touch, and we've
Yeah.
got broadband, so if you want to send us files or anything.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
like
yeah.
lovely. Thank
That's
you.
it, yeah. Oh, you
Just
can't
gonna
do
skip
that
that on
broadband
here.
nowadays.
No, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, so Elizabeth, did she have any children?
Yes, she had Emmy and Marjorie,
Oh, right, that's it. Emmy
and Marjorie was the younger.
and Marjorie.
And Emmy married Ray,
And then
and Marjorie had married Leslie. I went to both their weddings.
Leslie.
Because you've got some photographs. What wedding was that I was
Oh, that's Christine's.
Oh, it was, as you as a bride.
And then Marjorie had, I don't know, she had quite a few children.
Oh, did she?
Yes.
Oh, right.
Um, And then Emmy had just the 2 boys, Stanley and Geoffrey. And that's as far as I can go. They would have to fill
Yeah.
you in.
Well, yeah, I mean, Emmy will fill me in on Marjorie's
You see
children.
anything of Emmy?
No, I don't, but I'm going to have to because, I mean, she had a bad stroke last year.
Did she? Now, how old is she now? She
She
younger
was-
than your mother?
Well, she couldn't be much different.
No, they couldn't. They
No,
must have been
no,
very much nearer.
that's right, yeah,
Marjorie was the
yeah.
younger, of course. She died, of course, of brain tumour.
Oh, did she?
Yes, quite a long time
All
ago.
I can remember with Marjorie, she had very swollen legs.
You remember Marjorie?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Heavens.
Yeah. Yeah, she had swollen legs, yeah, before she died. And,
Yeah, she had a brain
yeah.
tumour. Mm.
yeah.
Well, then
yeah.
Emmy really, they were close, and Emmy really sort of, I think, was very close to her brother-in-law, and I think they more or less
Yeah.
amalgamated the 2 sets of children in the family, from what I gather, that she sort of looked after. Am I right? Do you remember that?
Are you sure Marjorie didn't marry Harry?
No, Marjorie married Leslie.
Well, who's Harry?
Who's
I was
Harry
going to
then?
say, you're
I
confusing me
thought this
now.
Harry. Who is Harry? When
I
he's
thought
out?
Harry was something to do with Marjorie.
Harry.
Well, it was Leslie when last time I heard of him.
Because I went to Harry's funeral.
Oh dear.
Cool, I don't know about
Who,
that.
who else
Are
would
you
know all these things? You have to
Oh.
ask the Barbara.
Are you
know
sure?
anything.
Yeah, Barbara will know
That's-
that
Yeah,
bit,
sure.
yeah.
Not
You'll
on
have to-
your
you'll have to tap
father's
her.
side.
Well, no, it's nothing to do with my father's side, no. Nothing, no.
Complicated, isn't it?
No, nothing, no.
Cool.
The chap that your mother went out with on the Sunday afternoon that caused the rumpus, this wasn't the...
Yeah, it wasn't Norman, was it?
Oh my.
I don't remember his name, but I do remember the rumpets, and I do remember my
Because
father
there
going after.
was a man, I don't know who he was, but telling me that he had always promised to marry Christine. And he married elsewhere eventually and whatever, but he had always said I think he was probably a bit older than her by, you know, could be as much as 10 years older than her. But he'd always said he was going to marry her, and it just made me think when you said she went out on a Sunday afternoon with this chap that maybe this was.
Must have been. I don't remember his name. I just remember that the fact that Auntie Lou and Uncle Frank suddenly descended on us,
Yeah.
and then my grandparents came over, and there was a family council. I can remember that.
That's
all
right.
of them sitting round, and I remember it was my father who went and got Christine.
Yeah, brought her back again.
And if my father said that was it, you did it, you've done
What
well,
happened to
did
the
it.
bloke though? What happened to the chap that she'd gone off with? Did he disappear?
I don't know what happened to him then. I don't think anybody was bothered. We got Christine back, and that was all that mattered.
That's right.
No, I
Sent
remember
off,
nothing,
was
but
he?
I can remember that. That's another
Really
thing that
is, yeah.
stands out
That's right.
very
Disappeared or
clearly.
was disappeared.
Yes, that's
Right,
right.
that's what I meant. You see, I wonder what happened to him.
It was
mean,
giving
I
his
can't think
marching
the cellar was
orders
that.
anyway.
It was typical of a German family
Yeah.
get together. If one was going, the whole lot came, and
Possibly at that time as well. At that time, things were decided by families,
Yes,
weren't they?
absolutely.
You
And-
know, sit round and
Yeah.
chat.
I mean, you
That's
would
right.
think about my great aunt and uncle descending from one part of Birmingham to from my grandparents coming from another part, and all to meet
All
in our
sitting
house
round
at
the
Gypsy
table.
Lane to find out what was going to happen
That's
to
right.
Christine. Then my father was the one that had to go. Well, my father would have gone. I mean, and my father was his mother's
Do
son. He'd
families do
absolutely.
that now, though? you
And
see,
I don't think
they
they
But he
do.
knew
decide the fate of
Off
somebody.
he went, I mean, they knew that they'd gone to Sutton Park, and they knew they'd probably go boating. So my father went, "Oh, we found her,"
Yeah.
and he brought her back. What her feelings were, I never found out. That
No.
wasn't it?
No,
He
it's
brought
not
her
Sutton
back.
It makes you
Yeah.
wonder what happened to him.
We did try to. We went to find
Still
Christine's
voting.
mother's grave, which
Found
we
in the
eventually tracked down.
Christine's
Mother's grave, and we went to find her father's grave, but the graveyard was in,
It was like 6 foot of weeds.
and it was all. It looked like there'd been subsidence or something
Oh,
there. All
goodness,
the
you
graves,
can
you couldn't see where they were.
And there was a little bit of
anymore.
war damage in there.
The
Yeah,
stones
yeah.
would have all gone like
So
that.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
The stones were laying. In fact,
Yeah.
as you walk through the grass, you're
You're
actually
walking on
standing.
the
So her
Yeah.
father and grandfather are buried in that grave.
where?
In-
Which
in-
where in Birmingham?
in-
Yes.
Yeah, in Aston. Yeah.
Aston.
Yeah.
No, because
yeah.
that's where a lot of us.
Yeah.
We were all in a small place, really.
It's a
And
place
you think
now where you have to
Aston,
leave somebody with the
Erdington,
car when you
Whitton,
go
you
and
know, all
look. It's a
that.
bit rough.
Or they were all within a radius of one another.
That's
The
right.
family lived in that radius, and
Yeah.
that was it. We were
Yeah.
all close in that way as well, in vicinity. But
Oh right.
it's
yeah.
interesting when you think about it, because Uncle Chris has been somebody I've always been interested in. The only thing that I know about him, of course, is he ended up at the Carl Rosa. And Christine's last memories of her father is singing the Prologue to Pagliacci. But the rest has been a revelation to me about him.
Well, I hope
Well, yeah,
they've
because,
told you the truth.
It was only last year after she'd seen her mother's grave, which this is the first time she ever knew where her mother was buried. I thought before she dies, I'm going to find her mother's grave. And I got there and she was able to put some flowers on her mother's grave for the first time ever in her life.
Was this near where she lived?
It's
Near
Sutton
here?
Coldfield.
Sutton Coldfields.
No, yeah.
So it's not that
But it was
far
actually
away.
like 100 yards from where my mother was born, where her
yeah.
mother was buried. And nobody, when she was a child, told her where her mother was buried.
But
so
she
she
obviously
could never
didn't
take any
ask.
flowers.
Isn't it?
And obviously, even when she'd married, it had never been something that she'd thought, let's go and find my mother's
I never heard her
grave
speak about her mother.
or anything
No.
like that.
No,
All she would say was that she was an orphan brought up by
Yeah.
3 aunts.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And but we did find it, and she did put the flowers there, and she seemed quite content. She was a bit horrified to think it hadn't got a headstone.
Yes, yeah.
And quite horrified to find that there was this other person
And we
Well,
know
yeah,
David-
also buried in
Yeah.
the grave
But
with
do you know
her.
this other person?
Well, no, I was hoping
No,
that'd
I
be
don't
filled
know.
in, and
I don't know
it's
at all.
still a
No,
mystery.
no, I don't know who that was at all.
Gotta be.
I don't know anything about.
It's got to be someone
I don't
similar
know anything about
age.
David's grandmother at all. I don't think she
It's
was
got
ever
to be a-
mentioned in the family.
would it have to be a family member or not? Or
Well,
would it just be an accident?
But the
as it
record
were?
should show who's buried there and where. I mean, every graveyard has to keep
Yeah.
An
Yeah, we
accurate
know
map.
who's buried in there, the name,
Mm.
but we
We
haven't
can't find a
got a
relative.
clue who it is.
Then it
They-
might, it
they
might not
said-
even be then.
Well,
Well, it
they
must be a
said it
relative.
must be a
It's got to
relative,
be a relative, yeah.
and that there would have had to have been permission.
Mm.
From
So
somebody
yeah, so
Yeah.
somebody would have had to have given the permission for this other person
to be
to be
put in.
buried there.
Well,
And
So
how
if
many
it's
years
with-
later was it?
did
It
Christine
was,
ever remember her mother?
No, because she was
No, about 6 weeks old.
6 weeks.
I thought she
yeah,
was, yes. I
yeah.
thought she was.
No,
Yes.
this was about 16
Yes,
years.
you see, from then on, the aunts
Later.
brought
15
her up.
years later. Yes.
And she
yeah.
spent a lot of
Mm.
time with
Because
with my grandmother.
After a certain period of time, then it's regarded as an exhausted grave, and you can reuse.
You
can't
can, can't you?
Ah.
I was thinking
But
that.
do you have, maybe
Yeah.
that's what it was.
But no, it was only 15 years.
15
No, I
years.
don't know who that
Yeah,
was.
No,
Mm.
no.
We'll have to go and investigate that bit
But
again.
did they
but
put down
then Christine,
Chris's sudden, my Uncle Chris's sudden sort of disintegration into his way of life
abortion?
up to his loss of his wife?
I don't
He certainly
know.
lost his daughter, but that was not because simply because he couldn't cope and look after
Oh,
her.
yeah.
He
Yeah.
just had
Yeah, but
her.
it wasn't until after my mother had seen her mother's grave and I spoke about her father again. I said, why isn't your father buried in the same grave as your mother? And she sort of said, well, I don't know, and everything. And then it came out that he'd married again.
And from the sound of it, he'd married a good many times. How
That's
he managed
right,
it,
yeah.
I don't know. But I do
Yeah.
remember he was very hush-hush in the family about Uncle
Yeah.
Chris. Except for the
He
fact
was a
that
bit
he
of a
went
one, was he?
to Carl Rosa. That was
Sounds
the only
like
thing
it,
I
yeah.
ever
Well,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
found some photographs where he's with a racehorse. So it looks as though he, led a life with, people of notoriety or
Yeah, but it's
society.
easier to find the bloodline of a racehorse than it is of people. The jockey club guard that was jealous.
Yeah, that's a fact, yeah.
David, these are photographs you've got to bring with you when you come again.
Right, yeah,
Because
or I can...
I've never seen a photograph of my Uncle Chris
Hi,
at all.
Dan.
Right, so
I've
yeah, what
never
I can,
seen-
but I can email them over. You see,
I've never
yeah.
seen a picture. I don't know what he looks like even. Nobody's got a photograph that I knew of.
Photo.
I've never seen anything of him, and there's another thing I want to know about him. My great grandfather.
Hello.
Hello.
Katie's grandma.
Hello, Dan. Thank you for your share of the card to me when I wasn't well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just say yes and nod in the right
That's
places.
it.
Yeah, none of us ever write them, but we all get included,
That's the embarrassing bit.
Right.
Yeah,
in this
that's
case,
right.
Kirsty
You
wants
can
to-
leave us now.
Yeah.
Nice to have met you anyway.
Yes, yeah.
I must put the...
Poor boy, dose to the family.
That's
No, I've
right.
never seen a
Yeah.
copy of a photograph of Uncle Chris at all. Now, your great-grandfather and my great-grandfather, you said something on the phone I don't know, something about him winning a medal for saving somebody's life. Now, that's
Right,
something
yeah.
I never got
Okay,
told.
yeah.
You didn't bring that with you.
Right, right, right. Yeah, Christopher, who moved to Birmingham, became an engineer.
And he wasn't Christopher, he was Christoph.
Yeah.
That
Christopher.
all changed with the war, the 1913. My father was Hildrich Christoph, and then he became Hildrich Christopher after the war.
So that's C-H-R...
C-H-R,
I-
Christ, O-P-H-E. After
O-P-H-E.
Christophs, they were all Christophs.
Right, so Christoph moved to Birmingham, became an engineer,
That's right,
building and maintaining gas holders
That's right.
at Saltley Works.
that's right.
I realise that, because I always used to like the gas works at Saltley. And he was then sent to Denmark.
That's right.
And was part of a team who built the first gas holder there.
But he actually designed it and did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he designed it, yeah. Then he was awarded the Humane Medal for bravery after rescuing a fellow
He was
worker.
what? Give me that all again.
He was awarded the Humane Medal for
Yes.
bravery
Yes.
for rescuing another worker that had fallen into the gas holder.
Guy, where's it in Denmark?
Denmark.
In Denmark.
About earlier, Mum, you said something about you didn't know about that or something. Is that the same thing?
Yes, I think I won't have to go up a
Yeah,
bit.
because you keep going, pardon.
Now then. Yes, you see, that was when he went. I didn't know he won that. No.
Yes, yeah,
No.
yeah.
Now that's something nobody ever told me. It's
Uh,
amazing. This, That is something I didn't know. That
Scan medal.
Who's this anyway? I'm talking
great,
about.
your great grandfather, great oh, I don't know,
Yeah,
it's-
your grandfather, yes.
It gets
Right.
He was awarded a medal for bravery.
Yes, I'll try and scan that award
Mm.
and email that over.
Mm.
Yeah. yeah.
That's
I'm
interesting,
surprised
isn't
I
it? Come
don't
on,
see
what
it.
else have you got
I'm gonna
about
have
him? I want to know.
Are you
Right,
staying in
please.
a hotel,
Yeah,
are you?
Christopher Senior had
I
5
think
children.
We're staying
That's
in
right.
Hotel Lodge tonight,
Oh.
and then we're going into bed and
Gus,
breakfast, I think. For a
Oh,
few
Carolyn
days.
Elizabeth. Oh yeah, we got what you
It's
told me.
right.
Carolyn Elizabeth.
It's going to get better.
I hope
Um,
so.
You're going,
oh.
you're going to Longworth Cove.
Yeah.
Rupert or
That's
Robert
Nice.
died when he was a
Are you going
baby.
on holiday?
Louise,
Not this year,
Christopher,
no.
and
Is this your sort of
Gladys.
little holiday? or-
Christopher
We're
married
going down in May.
Emmy Hill,
Down.
December
Oh, hopefully
15,
you'll come down.
Oh, yeah.
and died aged
Yeah,
26
that's
from
fine.
heart
That's
condition.
That's right.
You can perhaps go out for a meal.
2 weeks
Yeah.
after the birth
Yeah.
of the daughter Christine.
Right, fairly-
She's written this.
Yeah.
nice.
Sort of six-ish, something
Yeah,
like that.
that'd be
Yeah.
nice.
Instead of 2 weeks after,
Yes, a bit.
May. yeah.
So when was your mother born then? What year?
16.
16, and my father was 1909, so there was 7 years,
Mm.
7 years
Yeah.
before between them. Was it 7 years?
Yes,
7 years
yeah.
between them. Mm. I didn't realise they were that close, you know.
No, that's
No,
right.
No, that is interesting. Mm.
So, so if they were that close, we ended up getting.
But the generations.
The generation
are
started to move
ridiculous.
after that, then, didn't it?
The
Yeah.
generations were balmy. Yes,
Yes,
I
yeah.
didn't realise that it was not only that.
So I think we've got.
So are you the last? So who else, apart from say Barbara, would know about family? There's you, and is that it then?
There's, well, no,
from
there are
general
quite a few
records.
more of us really, but we don't. I mean,
You don't know whether.
wait a minute. What's left? Looking at it
Oh, and Emmy.
from our point, where from the eldest daughter, there's you, and I, and Katie.
Mm.
That's that. Then you come down to Auntie Lizzie. Then you've got Emmy and Marjorie, 2 boys with.
So where are they then?
They're in Birmingham still.
Emmy, you stand
And I
there.
don't know how many children did Marjorie have. You'd know then.
No, I don't know.
You don't?
Where's the
no,
dog?
no.
And I think they're quite, and they must now have children of their own.
Oh,
So
yeah.
there's that
Where have they gone?
generation.
Off to the
So
pit.
there's those there.
He says he's had some chips or something.
You okay?
So you don't know anything about the Hill family then?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever meet Norman Hill?
No, don't know anything about the Hill family. Who
No.
are the Hill family?
That's Christine's mother's.
No, I don't
No,
know
we don't
anything
know
about.
anything
No,
there,
but
no.
Christine's mother's side is
No,
nothing
no, that's
ever.
it, yeah.
Nothing was ever mentioned
No.
about Christine's mother in the family at all.
Oh.
The Gosses were quite a self-centred family. They were Goss for Goss and Goss for nobody else, I think, at one
It
time.
wasn't Christine's mother's, it was Christine's mother's
Mother.
parents'
Pa-
family
parents,
we were talking
mm.
about, isn't it?
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you know anything
Yeah.
about the Humes? You do know. Ah, that's all you know, isn't it? No, same as I don't know any more than
Yeah,
that.
Christopher married somebody who,
Mary Hume.
Mary
Yes,
Hugh.
yes.
Oh, that was it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mary.
That's not a common surname, is it?
No.
It isn't, no.
I'm thinking of the MP.
They
Yeah,
owned
that's
it, yes,
Douglas.
that's right.
Parents were the owners of
Alex-
Woolen.
No, they owned it, that's
Woolen
right.
Mill.
Mm-hmm. And they never had any more to do with her
Samuel.
afterwards.
Yeah.
God.
But you've got it in your mother's letter. They
Yeah.
didn't like Grandpa Goss,
Mm.
but she married him and they never saw her again.
Oh dear.
No, never saw her again. So in a sense she started off with... Told you the Gosses
I was going
were...
to say this will make a good
No,
play.
yes, that's
Never
right.
serial,
No wonder
wasn't
there was a war with Germany, wasn't there? Because the family was like
it? That's
that.
right.
They never saw her again, no. They were so upset that they never saw her again. Whether that was because of his nationality or what, I don't know, because there was a big anti-German feeling at the
Yeah.
end, the latter part of the 19th century,
Oh.
and then up to the First World War and after, and there still is now. And that's the whole thing, and it's ridiculous, but there
Well, no,
you are.
no. I think there's actually people are more anti-French than they are German
think
now.
so?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You wouldn't think so
Yeah.
from seeing Channel 4's that week after week after
Well, you have
week
to
in
be a bit
the
careful with some of
on
those
the
TV
TV,
things, right?
everything churned out about the Nazis and Hitler.
Well,
Yeah, but
I
that's
mean,
all
I'd
a
only
bit-
told family what I told you about
Yeah,
my
but
father.
I find the Germans are very friendly when we go over
Oh,
there.
they're marvellous nation.
Yeah, and they always say they look up to the
Mm.
British and say, I don't know, why you're in such a mess in England when you won the war, you're the victors.
Well, the
you know,
thing
you're-
is this, that
they do look up
Because
to
I
they
the
were
always
British.
replaced
remember
afterwards, that's why.
Harvey Jones, John Harvey
Yes, that's
Jones,
right.
the
Yeah.
We
troubleshoot.
won.
yes, yes.
So we didn't
Well,
need
I
to do
read those
anything, where
his-
everyone
We-
else had to rebuild.
We built theirs, yeah. So they had all new technology.
They had
yeah.
everything new.
We
We just had a
when
complacent
he
attitude.
was
It's
doing his
homes for soldiers,
series,
homes for victors. It wasn't
Yeah.
build industry.
troubleshooters
Where
years
he
ago,
used to go in,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
He
it's a
wrote
win-win
some books
situation
about
with the
it.
Germans.
and he says
Whether they lost the
the
war or
Germans
won
are
it,
most
didn't matter.
marvellous
They were still
people.
going
Because-
to
Their
benefit from it.
determination to
social
drive through
approach.
anything.
Yeah.
The whole cultural
And their
approach
stability
Yeah.
to drive through. And
getting
he
it
said
together
this
and
to
getting
me,
it
and he
right.
said they're my
Yes,
second
that's right.
nation.
Yeah.
He said they're
Because of
actual egalitarian attitude to one another, officers sitting with the men, and he said, and I thought that it's it. And people have said to me, what got you through so many problems? And I said, I know, it's the Bavarian blood, the
Yeah,
push,
that's right.
the
to
absolute
cope.
determination, nothing's going to stop me.
Yeah.
And I've seen it in all my family.
It's funny what you should say though about the programmes on TV, because my son met a German girl who was over in Sutton Coldfield working as a nanny or an au pair or whatever for 12 months, and he must have seen her for about 9 months, and she used to come to stay with us sometimes at weekends with Matthew, and it always seemed that as soon as Anya was at David's house, we'd have the TV on, and within seconds
There was
something would appear, even if it was Dad's
Yeah,
army.
come on.
But even with Dad's army, at the beginning, there's sort of like the flags
That's it,
on each
meeting
nation,
the thingy,
and then
yeah.
they're pushing
Yeah.
the German
That's it,
flags
yeah.
back, aren't
That's
they?
it, yeah.
And she used to say, "You're all obsessed with the war,"
It's true,
and
though, she's
true.
right.
and you didn't,
Yes.
as I'd never even thought about it before, but it seemed like everything was about our winning the war with Germany and how we'd,
We're
and
not
you-
really xenophobic, are we?
That's right. And you just think, gosh, maybe
well,
we
because
are
they,
never
they
really.
do say,
Well,
don't
certainly
you?
lately
It's
with
all
the
this
60th
that's right,
anniversary.
and all
That's
the
English
right.
have
English
never
being
looked
dropped
forward
down,
since
and
then,
all
they've
the-
always
But
looked
she
back.
lived
The
in what
continent
was
looks forward.
East Germany.
Yeah.
So consequently, they didn't, up until not that long ago, they didn't even know what was going on in the rest of the world.
Yeah, but
did
when
they?
we went with them, a few months later, we went to Magdeburg in East Germany, where they built the V2 rockets.
Oh yes.
And on Magdeburg Station, there's a bookshop. And I'm not kidding you, I've never seen as many books on the wall as in that bookshop in
In
East
Germany.
Germany. So I think
Oh, that's funny.
they still obviously have a...
That's right. It's all
Yeah.
filtering it.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah, so
filtering
it's just
through.
just us
Yeah,
then.
No.
there was masses of
That's
titles.
celebrated.
I can't
Yeah.
imagine
Yeah.
that the West
We tend
Germans
to
are doing the
celebrate
same.
it in some
No,
way, don't
probably
we?
not.
Yeah,
We celebrate
that's
it because we
right.
think we're
And I
victors.
can
Yeah.
This is
remember,
what's united
don't-
the rest of Europe. The whole purpose of the EEC is actually to prevent
this
war.
rather
Yes,
reminds
that's
me of a
right.
Goss
Yeah.
gets
Do
to
with
get
common
years ago,
agricultural
everybody
policy.
crossed
No,
the
that's right. It's a united
Total
front,
unification that
isn't
you
it?
cannot,
Yeah.
it can never happen again.
That's right.
That's
But,
right, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was interesting seeing where... you hear about the V2
That's right.
rockets
But we are a
and
bit
what was the other
over
one?
the
The,
top about
yeah, the
it,
V1s
aren't
that
we?
do
Whereas
the
maybe
books.
we-
Just a few books in
And
the
then
bookshop in
so
Germany.
you see
They
them on
don't
films and
necessarily
you know all about
celebrate
it.
No,
To actually
that's
go
right.
and stand
And when we went to
Be
see
in the
where the
tunnels
V2
where they're
bombs were
actually
made,
made
the
and
guy
see the
who
actual parts
took us on the tour
that hadn't been used
did
was
say that
like
now
really weird.
Germany was
And
becoming
that was in a
as
concentration
obsessed with
camp.
it all as ever.
And then a few
because
years
they,
later, you
they were
watch
partly
shuttle
ashamed
taking off
of
and you realise where
the
the technology started.
concentration
Exactly,
camps
yeah,
and things
yeah.
like that. They
But
hadn't-
what happened was the
It's
Russians
probably
took
quite
all the
good
parts
news
for the
for them
V2
too,
rocket.
Yeah.
for the tourists.
That's
Left the
right.
V1.
Well, that's right.
This
Because
is
people,
Because
where-
they wanted
Yes,
that
that's
technology.
right.
Yeah.
So they took all
That's
that
right.
before the Americans
So-
got there. And then they blew up the entrances to the tunnels. So then they had to tunnel back in for another angle to get back
Back
into
in.
those tunnels. So you've seen in these tunnels that have been hidden for decades. 'Cause it's really interesting, wasn't it? Yeah.
well, look, and all of the
Yeah.
parts of
You've
the
been quite a
machinery
lot of times, few
underwater
times,
where it
Germany,
all
haven't you?
flooded
Yes,
now.
yeah.
and-
Yeah, it was January when we went last year. Yeah.
Yes, well, Barbara goes, doesn't she? Because that postcard was from.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, she
yeah.
goes out.
Well, she goes anywhere.
She
the
says she
Russian.
likes it, doesn't she?
Oh yes, she
Yeah,
does too.
yeah, yeah.
Well, she's all over. I
Yeah.
don't know where she is at the moment, but she's somewhere.
Mm.
She's all over the place.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean,
yes,
Finland
yeah.
and Germany seem to be the two places she goes
Yeah.
to most.
Yeah,
That's
well, it's
right,
wherever he's
wherever.
playing, isn't it? Yes,
It's
yeah.
up
Shall we all eat? Do you want something to eat? You're
No, I'm
looking.
fine at the moment.
I'd like another drink, but
You
I'm
would.
I'm going dry.
It's because you had to tell us so much.
Yes.
Oh,
done.
dear.
That's
Life
made you
history,
feel
yes.
so-
Oh, you do that.
Oh, it's been very interesting, everything
Yeah.
you've told us.
Well, I've said the next time you come down, we must go for a meal.
Let us
We'll
know.
go
Yes,
out and
that's
You
it,
can come
yes,
and see
yes.
my pad as well. It's only little,
That's
but it's
right,
nice.
yes.
It's all
Oh,
got
that's-
all my music there and videos and books and things like that. And
Oh,
I'm only
that's
round
nice.
to the children, that's the thing.
We can go
But
somewhere
it's,
to eat.
No, I want
Yeah.
to
Yes,
get in
that's
touch
right.
with
You'll
Wherever
know
you're
where
going.
to.
David.
Wherever.
I want to
Yes.
get in touch with your brother.
I thought
Yes.
Mum was going to
The
say
photographs. Show.
Yeah.
There are some photographs.
Yeah, I was just
on
going.
here.
Yeah, just got it
of
to
Chris.
show you actually. Yeah.
And these were only taken a fortnight ago because Chris was 60. On the
When was his birthday?
his birthday was on the 13th of July.
Yeah, that's Chris and Elaine. That's his ex-second wife.
Oh,
Yeah.
are they still together?
Oh yes, yeah.
They
yeah,
are, but
yeah.
they're divorced.
No, I know
They-
that.
yeah,
I know
yeah.
all about. I know
Yes,
most
yeah.
of it. Yes.
Yeah.
I thought that they'd separate. You know, he didn't see any of it. I mean, you're all. I didn't know anything about Karen at all. Your
Well,
mother never
I-
told me. I mean, I've
haven't
been
been
talking
on
to your
the
mother on
scene
the
very
phone, and
long.
she never told me anything. I used to have to
Ah.
dig anything I wanted from her.
Well,
out
so
of
yeah,
her.
so did I.
Literally.
Yes, yeah,
Had to
yeah,
dig
yeah.
anything. If I didn't mention
I
you,
pressed a button.
It's the
I mentioned
cat,
you
I don't know
herself.
anything
No.
about
Did you see it
cat,
before it
haven't you?
went out?
Cat.
Oh yeah, we got 3 cats.
Only 3? Oh my goodness, we've got
and-
one.
Oh, have you?
Yes.
And Jenny had 3 cats until yesterday, but she had to go away on holiday, so she had to give the kittens away.
Yeah, she'd got 7-week-old kittens, hadn't she? But she did.
Yeah.
She'd always intended that they.
What, to
would-
give them away?
Yeah.
Oh, there they are. Yeah, the 2 kittens.
That's sweet. I suppose when she comes back off holiday, will she
Hello.
have another kitten?
Yeah, that's the 2
I
kittens.
think
cats.
so.
Ah.
I mean, they're 7 weeks old, and they're they're cat flap trained. They're
Really?
climbing up out the cat flap.
Intelligent
They shouldn't
kittens,
be out for
no,
like
they shouldn't, yeah,
6
but
months.
you can't stop them, so...
And yeah, they kept following the mother in and out.
Oh, there you are.
But then the other week, the mother actually let one stay out in all that terrible downpour of rain, and it
What
was
happened?
like shivering, soaking wet.
That's
And,
unusual for the mother to do that.
Yeah.
yeah, well, she obviously wanted to stay in the
Oh,
dry.
yeah.
She's only about a year old, though.
Yeah.
What's the mother?
Yeah, she's ever so tiny. Yeah.
Is she? No, our cat's 4 now.
So Chris is
Yeah.
60.
Yes, yeah.
And there's
I
some of
just thought he was
Lucy
older
and
than that. I don't know
there'll be
why.
some of Lucy
So
and
he's
Yeah.
10, not quite 10 years
Charles.
older.
9, yeah.
9.
And Linda's 11 years older,
That's
yeah.
right. Mm.
how do I,
You can have a drive in the rain.
Looks like it,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
How far
Yeah.
have you got to go? Southampton?
Yeah, that's all, yes, yeah.
Oh, it's not.
No.
You'll be missing the traffic at least, because Goodwood finished ages ago.
oh yes, oh it was
Last,
Yeah.
well,
good.
the last race was 5:15, so
Oh was
Yeah.
it?
Oh, I
Shouldn't
see, yeah.
go
Oh,
by
that's
now.
good, yeah. Gosh.
in case you get.
That's all right,
Although
that's
you won't
fine.
be going that way anyway, you'll be going.
Where are you
go from
going
here?
to?
Go Billings.
Southampton.
I haven't got a clue. I mean, well, I
Stephen
just,
will tell you.
it's alright, I just tell the car.
Oh, do you?
I don't.
Oh, right. Oh, you've
I
got
never-
one of those cars with the
Yeah.
thingy inside.
It talked
Yeah,
to you.
so-
Billings
There's
House.
Linda. Can you zoom these up? Can you put them on your computer so that we can look at them? Because there's Charles and Lucy as
Well,
well.
Stephen will be able to do
I
that.
could have done, but I haven't got
Oh.
the lead with me.
I'll tell
Because
I'll
they're a bit small,
No, I haven't
aren't
got
they,
the
to
lead,
see
no.
it?
Yeah.
Stephen!
But that's Linda in the dark glasses.
On Katie's or yours. the
Where's
computer,
Linda,
because
David?
She's got a little digital
Let me
camera.
just-
Can you zoom these pictures up?
Just actually, you're a very busy man, aren't you? We're making you do all the copying and all the.
Well, she could have got it on her thing.
And I bet you've had a day at work as well, haven't you?
Ah, fairly normal.
Yeah, have you got a slot in your computer for...
No.
hmm?
No, we haven't.
No,
We
right.
haven't got, we've got nothing on memory card.
Golly, is
No.
that
That's all
All
our
the stuff that I
photocopying.
like giving you.
Yes,
God.
that's
Have
right.
I got
Isn't that
a mem-
lovely?
Have I got a memory card slot on there? I don't think I have. Have
I don't know. To be honest, I've never really looked. I
Is
don't
that
know.
something complicated, is it then?
No, most machine, a lot of things use memory cards now, but we
haven't
haven't
got
got that advanced.
We're not
Yeah.
that advanced here.
I? No,
But
no.
that'll ca-
Unfortunately, I haven't got the
Not
actual
yet,
lead that
anyway.
goes from the camera into the computer, you see. So
Oh
I
yeah.
know I forgot to bring that. 'Cause not
Oh.
thinking I was going to be bringing the laptop, I didn't bring the.
That's a shame because.
Yeah.
But what we'll do is we'll
Email them
send
to
you
us.
some of Linda and of Lucy and Charles and of Chris.
Mm.
So email them through or
So you've got the
whatever.
email
and-
address, so you can
yeah,
bang
that's
anything you
right.
like down.
And then at least
Yes,
you can
yeah.
see what they're all.
Oh, how did you
Now-
get in here, dog?
Can I get it with Chris? Can I get in touch with him?
What's Chris's
Yes,
address?
yeah. It's
Oh, hang on. There's a blank piece here.
Hello,
right,
Meg.
that's it.
Wonderful, isn't it, with some of these old
It's alright,
photographs?
just go around this sort of stuff.
No,
I'll do with the tea.
right.
Just water in the metal one.
It's
Orchid,
wonderful how they've kept there.
yeah. Beverly.
Different things.
Can they read your writing, David?
So my
What's this in a
writing
boat here?
What's that?
Oh, I
now?
recognise that's Grandma.
Well, with Auntie Gladys and Barbara and Uncle, yes, and Uncle Len. At Stratford on the Avon. That was Barbara when she
Oh,
was
little
a
girl.
little girl.
Yeah, because I've not met Barbara because she was going to come, wasn't she, and see you.
Well, I
I
keep
suppose
on
she
wanting
will do
thinking
now.
to myself, will she now? But she says it's too far, and of course she's all over the place.
She will.
But I haven't seen her since she was 5.
Oh, what is she? Oh, haven't you?
No,
Oh, David, you'll have to bring her down.
I haven't seen her since she was 5. I can
We'll
remember
have to get
coming.
everybody will have to come down.
Well, but you would be unable to come up for a weekend today.
I can't, you see,
No, that's
unfortunately,
it,
with the
no,
problems I've
no.
got.
No.
Oh, what
You're
a
just
shame.
going to have to come down, I'm
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
send some
yeah.
photographs.
Send
Yeah.
It's just Barbara is like her whole life is so hectic,
sounds
isn't it?
a
Or
bit
busy. Barbara's
Yeah.
life is so busy. She's always
Yeah, so
rushing
she
off
couldn't
here,
make it
there
to
and
Chris's
everywhere.
party because she was
She
away
couldn't
in.
make it to Chris's
She
party.
was in
No.
Germany. No,
She took
that's
make
it,
it
yeah.
to your mother's funeral, though.
Oh yes, she
Yes.
did.
Oh,
Yes, she did.
Yes, yeah.
She might,
You've
if
got
you
the
felt
milk in
like
there.
bringing her at any time.
Sorry,
she
could we
might
put
come.
our milk in? Because we only have
Yes,
a tiny,
okay,
tiny
sure,
speck. Yeah.
She might
yeah.
come to see me.
I'll get a
Yes,
jug, I
yeah.
think, rather than
Yeah.
a straight
We haven't seen each other. We write and we talk on the phone, but I'd love to see her
Yes,
again.
yeah.
But she can remember the last time I went to
She's a
stay
very
with
striking-
them, with Auntie Gladys and
Yeah.
Uncle Ed and she and John and I. She remembers us going to the cinema, John and I, and she remembers waving me off on my bike. I was 18. I'm 13 years older than she is and Linda is.
Yeah.
So it's about 57 years or something since you saw Barbara.
We've
right.
spoken though, and I've got a photograph of her. It's funny, but when I speak to
Yeah.
family, I never feel that I don't know them.
No.
No.
But Barbara's a
Yeah.
very
But
attractive woman.
Oh yes, I know.
Um,
She's 6 foot. I know
yes,
very
yes,
tall.
that's right.
I think
Yeah.
Kate is very much that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I
Yes,
do
that's it.
think that I'd love to see her one of these days. But she seems so caught up with all this business of the piano and the pianist. That's where she really lives now, isn't it?
That's right. That's right.
Because she's no children, you see.
No.
No,
and,
no, no.
Her brother's
no.
gone, and of course
No.
she and Molly don't.
No,
No,
that's
she
right.
says she
She
hasn't
used to do
seen Molly for,
Splash
I think, 7
From the
years
big
the last
thing,
time I
from the
talked
big
to her.
thing.
And
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's that. But she
Metal
sees Kim, I think, and her children.
Yes,
Yes, yeah.
So
They're
that
in
seems to be
rugby,
the
aren't
only.
they?
Well, I wrote
Yes,
to Molly
yeah.
after John's death, which I was very sad about because I grew up with him more or less,
Yeah.
and she never answered me.
Didn't she?
No,
With
never.
Molly? Yeah.
No, never.
No.
answered. So what you've told me today, I'm not surprised.
No.
All
Here,
the-
I'll let you put your splashes
Thank
in.
you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
It's
I haven't-
too strong.
I haven't-
We
I
are,
haven't
we're
seen them
strange
many,
people. No, it
social
won't be
media.
too
No.
strong. We
No, I
Some
did.
people
I wrote
like
and
it
said how
strong.
sorry
We
I was.
drink
She
it,
never
uh,
answered.
So
more or
you
less
stand a
black.
I wasn't
spoon up.
terribly
Well, I do drink it
surprised
black.
because
So
of
you do.
Oh, do you? Well,
told me, you know,
I do
about
sometimes
Yeah.
because
the
I
relationship and
I'd rather have it
but,
black than
I
too
was
milky.
sad about
so-
that.
Yeah.
That was so unexpected
I'll
as
make that
well.
one my mum's now.
Well, it was because he went with it. He'd
You
got a
can,
broken
do you
arm
want
or
to
something,
stir it? Do you want to
and
get
in the end,
teaspoons?
Sorry,
turned out to be
Nobody
very
has
bad.
sugar, do they? Sorry, Stephen.
He'd had this pain for years, apparently.
He's a very good husband.
Are
You've
they?
got him well
Oh.
trained.
And then he got so bad one afternoon, Christine
How long
told
have
me
you
that
been married?
She took him to the hospital
About
in the
21
car.
years.
And
Oh,
that's
yeah.
how they
Kate was
found it.
15,
Yeah.
you were 16.
That's what I was told,
Yes.
anyway.
Yeah.
And you
Over
met
years.
purely
Yeah.
by you
Your mother
moving
used to
down
tell
here
me
and
a lot,
working
you
at
know.
the
Yes.
theatre.
Oh,
She
yes,
phoned
yeah.
because, of
Thank
course,
you, that's
there was,
lovely.
Yes,
though there was
that's right,
different
yeah.
Is that too
different
strong?
No, that's
generations,
lovely.
we
I'm
were
sure
with
it's
us,
Stephen,
sort of
if I
didn't
very
want
close, and
Because you...
And of course, she
That's
hadn't
my mum.
really made contact with you before I got so busy. So, you know, if it had been in the 70s, I'd have been down and seen you a lot before that. But then it was just at the time,
Thank you very much.
you know, I was so
About
busy
7
with
years.
business and everything else, and it's just.
Oh, it's very
Um,
interesting.
romantic?
That's why I didn't get
Not
down
really.
well, I'm glad
I-
you and your brother
After
seeing
I'd
more of each
become,
other
I don't tell you
now.
from
Oh,
my
yes,
perspective,
yeah,
after I
yeah.
became
Do you see
on
a
my
little
own,
bit
I was on my own for about 3 years.
Yeah,
And I
so,
thought,
well, of course,
right,
you came over to
I need to go
Chris's,
somewhere. I don't
60th.
necessarily want to meet a partner, but I want to have a life. I don't want to sit and watching TV every night on my
It's,
own.
I'm
So
surprised
there
at
was this
Lucy,
thing
though. She's a bit of a
advertised called the
disappointment
dinner
in telling me
circle,
that she's
which
literally living
was
off her
where you were
father.
supposed to go out for meals. So you weren't partnered up or matched up or anything like that, but you would go and
And the one got chicken pox, I think it was. And his wife, again, was very, very much on the strict side of it. And he thought they ought to tell the school. And she said, oh, no, don't need to tell the school. Send him to school. You know, he'll
the
know the
chicken
truth and he'll be okay. So I got so sick of you, you'll know the truth and you'll be all right.
Got to know
So
the
he
truth.
went, he came and rang my grandmother, you see, for guidance. Oh, my grandmother said, no, she said, keep him out of school, tell the school he's got it, you know.
yeah.
She had a saying, which my father adapted slightly further. She said, you render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. And my father used to say, yes, you render unto Caesar's that which is Caesar's, and then you say, sod Caesar. And she said, no. And so, of course, he went back, you see. But that was your father's first words to me as he came up after a good many years of not seeing him. Arena, you know what the devil in this family's been, don't you, Christian Science? I didn't realise you fell foul. That was what you were falling foul of in your... Yes, she was. She got so devout, Auntie Louie, that...
Auntie Gladys wasn't interested in the slightest, though, was she?
Pardon?
Auntie Gladys wasn't
Oh
interested
no,
in the
not in the.
slightest.
Oh no, not in the least.
No.
But I think my grandmother got it the right way. My father got it in the end the wrong way, and my mother, oh, she just went over the top. She looked after this Christian Science home, Bow House, and Karen used to go a lot because she was at Wimbledon College of Art, and we were living up that way. And she wasn't like my mother at all. I mean, my mother would all been jolly easygoing, and she got to the point where Karen came home. She was at where were you at? One of the theatres. Where was it? At Colchester, wasn't it? And you came home. Oh no, I think it was when you came down from Edinburgh. And she wasn't well. She got a bad cold, so she went in. And my mother had a fire escape from the kitchen. She used to come down, literally leave the cook and the staff in the kitchen, and she'd jangle these keys, bunch of keys, and she'd whistle. She's coming. So one afternoon, Karen came round to our flat from my grandmother's where she was stopping. She said, Mum, can I come and lie on the sofa? Why, what's the matter? Because she said, Grandma keeps on coming down, jangling her keys and looking at me in complete dismay. She felt because she'd got a cold and she was in bed. I never forgot that. I said, yeah. And she came in, oh, can I? She said,
But she was a good soul.
because she got it absolutely. It was completely uncomfortable to live. But that's what your father said. The first thing he greeted you says.
Amazing, yes.
Yes, no, I can imagine that she
I
would
didn't
leave it
realise
to
went
most.
through the family like that. I thought it was just Grandma and Grandpa.
Oh no, you
No, it
spread.
went
Well, you
on
see,
into the
I just thought it was
Auntie Louie. I don't know really what was wrong. Do you know what it was? Was it arthritis? What it was? It was supposed to come from rheumatic fever that she and your mother had
Oh,
years before when they got out in something. They had a motorbike and sidecar, Auntie Louie and Uncle Frank, and Christine used to go in
That's right. I've seen a
And I
picture
think
of
they
that.
got
yes.
soaking wet or something.
Sounds like
But
Well, I don't think getting soaking wet would bring all
no, I wouldn't have thought so. But I think that's what they put it
I was
down
going to
to.
tell you, in the olden
But
days,
she-
people
Yeah,
used to
getting
say things.
wet.
Well,
She-
your mother's got this cough because of being down the air
Aero
shelter.
shelters, that's
She's still
right.
got it now.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
But that was what happened, and she became really. Well, she just. I mean, Uncle Frank
Well, it
used
could
to
be
just have to
like
put his arm down to heave her onto the bus. As you can see, she was a big woman,
Yes,
and
I
she
can
really
see that.
couldn't walk properly. I mean, she got arthritis of some sort. And then, of course, you see your great grandfather being so ill with his heart in the First World War, and he didn't recover. And somebody popped a Christian Science pamphlet through their letterbox. My grandmother thought it was
fatal.
interesting because she was curious,
Yeah.
like we all seem to be as a family. She wanted to know more about it.
I know.
She got into it, and then I think really it was rest, looking after him, but it took him 9 years to come right round from that and actually pick up 3 years before he could get back to work. And she was always very careful of him, and I think it was her that really got him round the corner. But she was interested,
So
went
Caroline
on.
was interested in
Oh
it,
yes,
yeah.
she was the first one. She was interested, and she started going to the services, and then she decided she was going to start helping people, and then she went through class and became a practitioner. But I think what she really did was give you. She was a jolly good psychologist, and I
Yes.
think she gave you. She was a natural knower of people,
Yes.
and I think she simply gave you what you needed in
Yeah.
a sense.
Yeah.
But she was very well thought of. But then you see Auntie Louie, it's like they always say, don't they? Catholic converts are always more Catholic than the Catholics.
Yeah.
So Auntie Louie
Yeah.
gets it and thinks it might do it for her, and of course she went right into it, right up to her head.
I've got her Christian Science book.
Have you?
Yes,
What was it called? I can't. No, dear. Mary Baker Eddy's.
I've forgotten what it's
Yeah,
called now. I mean, I look at it and I don't even open it because it's got.
You might.
But
Is
my
it-
grandmother.
Oh
Does it
no,
sell?
no, I wouldn't be brainwashed by it.
My
no.
grandmother took
No,
it
it's
the
just,
comfortable way and got a
yeah.
lot out
Yeah,
of it because she
that's
got a
right.
lot of friends
Yeah.
and the people that she knew.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing that went back into her childhood because she was so furious with her father for constantly not being there and moving around, and she had to leave school at 13, and she was a very clever woman, there's no doubt about it. And she always felt she missed her chance. So,
Yeah.
of course, Christian Science gave her a chance.
In
Yeah.
a different
And
way.
Yes.
And she had a good life out of it. But Auntie Louie, of course, made everybody's life a misery.
With it, that's right. It
Yeah, and
really
she
became-
sounds as if she made you. I know that Christine said it was absolutely terrible towards the end. You boys didn't want to even go round, apparently.
Well, no, because she was just miserable. It was a dark house. You were bored to tears. You're a youngster. You don't want to go and sit every night watching somebody being fed. That you got frustrated because she'd let it go cold, and then it'd have to be put back in the oven for half an hour to warm up for them to finish it, and we couldn't go home until she'd eaten it. But it might have to be warmed up twice, so it just drove me mad as it.
Well, I can
as a
remember
youngster.
Christine saying once that while they were round there doing the feeding duties or whatever, I don't know how old David was, but obviously he was a young boy, and he twisted cotton
I can remember doing
round
it now.
the legs of the chairs
Oh,
and
God.
the table.
Well, I was bored. It was
In-
everywhere.
in-
All
you
the
know,
chairs, the
I
table,
see,
the whole
yeah.
place was just.
Just out of
But of
Strong.
course,
yeah,
he got
young
into terrible
boys doing
trouble.
things, yeah,
But
I'm sure.
you can imagine that as a
Yeah.
young boy being sat there
Being
and nothing
mischievous,
much to
yeah.
do.
That's the only thing I
So,
can
yeah.
remember doing there. Actually, it was just fantastic when I was.
I
small.
remember your mum saying about it, and everybody was like completely horrified that he'd done this, and the whole room was like a network of.
Well, yeah, it was like a spider's web. Really.
Yeah, that's right.
Fantastic when you've done it.
Yeah. So I didn't
Oh,
see the
gosh.
problem with it.
It's hard to believe that somebody that was such good fun and
Could
such
change so
could change so.
dramatically.
Yeah, yeah, because of course I
Well,
didn't.
you could
I
see
didn't-
her with beaming face on that. She was marvellous
I
fun
didn't
to
know
be
that.
with.
Unless it's because of the pain that you're going through,
Well,
or
probably,
because of the art, because she was like invalided through it. Really, that
Well, because
he's
in a
bound to
sense,
get
Uncle
to- he's
Frank,
bound
in
to
a
get
many
to you.
ways,
If she was more.
because she couldn't have,
Yes.
you know, they
Yeah,
were very
get
close.
to
They
you
were a very
over a
happy
period of
couple,
time,
but he
isn't it? It just dragged you
really
down.
literally sacrificed his life. I mean, he went to work, but he mainly I mean, she went with him. He went with her everywhere, lifting her off buses, helping. And my mother used to say, you know, he's going to exhaust himself with this, but he was a
Yeah.
lovely man. He was a
Yeah.
lovely man.
Oh, yeah. Must
I
have
agree
been,
with
yeah.
everybody else's. He was.
Yeah.
My mother liked him as an uncle-in-law. She
Yes.
was extremely fond of him. And
Yeah. Well, Mum adored him. Yes.
yes,
yeah,
he was. He was a
yeah.
lovely man.
Yeah.
He
Yes,
gave your
that's
mother
it,
away.
yeah.
I can remember that wedding as well as anything.
Are those the
did they?
photographs you've got then of you?
I've got them, so you've got
Yeah.
them all, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got the wedding wedding
big wedding
photo.
pictures.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Because he got lung cancer, you see, and
That's
I know
right.
that was that. He had another young lung out and told my mother, you see, when he was downstairs, he wished he'd never had the operation. He said he would have rather just, he was in a worse state and it was something he wished he'd never had.
And I think my mother had to run to the doctors or get the doctor to come out to him when he was dying, wasn't it? And of course, in those days as well, Louis wouldn't have had the help, or she refused to have
Oh.
professional help.
Oh, did she? For him as well?
Well, no, I think for her, because how
her.
come it was sort of my
You
parents that
can't
had
just-
to go every single night to feed her and look after her?
But that's what a Christian Science believes, isn't it? Isn't that what they believe?
So-
you can't
so-
have...
That your family will
Yeah.
provide.
And nothing is, in that sense,
Yeah,
physical
that's
in that
right. Yeah.
sense.
So that's why it
No,
fell
but
down.
your
Yeah.
ideas.
So you can see why I've got this underlining sort of hatred for Christian Science. 'Cause
Oh
obviously
yes, well as I say,
affected me
that's
as
the
a child
that was
because
the first thing
my
your
parents were
father
took
said.
away from me. Because
I walked
the
away
father would come
long
in at
ago.
6 o'clock at night from work, or 6:30. Then we'd have to go down there, and then I'd have to go to bed.
Yeah, that's right.
So as a
your
child-
whole-
You spend a
So I
lot
didn't
of
really
time
have
doing-
much, you know. I didn't
Well, the
really
only
see much of
person
my
who went
father
through it
except for
unscathed
that.
was my grandmother, wasn't she? But she never took life any differently to that. No.
No.
I mean, you wanted help or you wanted advice, you went to my grandmother, but she dosed it always with, I don't know, sunshine, I think,
Yeah,
and
that's
that's the way
right.
to say
was
it.
very upbeat.
Upbeat,
rather
always.
Which was
Which is what. And Auntie Gladys did tend in that way to be downbeat at times. Auntie Louis, but Auntie Gladys, I don't know. She was the gentle sister.
Oh, she was fantastic.
Yes, she was a sweetie, Auntie Gladys.
yeah.
She was very great fun.
And even
but
though she was sort of under Len's thumb and wasn't, she got a lot of life experience, and she'd always come out with these
well, yes, she did.
comments, and you think, yeah, that does make a lot of sense. So
I think always feel that the three
Yeah.
elder girls were their father's daughters, and she was probably a mother's daughter.
Yeah,
Where like Mary Hume was long suffering and
Yeah.
patient. The other three were very strong women indeed.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, your mum wasn't a strong one.
No, she
was
wasn't. You see. No.
No, she's
Yes,
strong
she-
in
in some
some
ways.
In some ways, she was
She was- in some
extremely
ways she
strong.
was.
She was one of life's survivors.
That's what I mean. Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
she needed somebody's guidance, didn't she?
Yeah.
They didn't
yeah.
need anybody.
No.
They didn't
Christine
need a soul.
didn't need.
People needed them.
guidance,
My
yes.
grandmother, everybody, but she wouldn't have needed. She didn't. She could pilot her own
Yeah,
ship.
that's
And Auntie
right.
Lizzie, Auntie Gladys definitely, and Auntie Louis could have done, but to say except for the physical side of it, but they were very strong women.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, they were very strong.
But I mean, I suppose physically, your mum was fairly strong.
Well, she'd always bounce back.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
right, no matter
That's
what
the bounce
was
back.
thrown
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
interesting because
Yeah.
that's what I can find in me, and I find it in Karen
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
what
the
we
resilience
get.
and
That's
We
right,
go down.
yeah.
I go down, but then I
Yeah.
come back, and I don't want to, but I come back from something
yeah,
in myself.
that's right.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And nobody came back from more than my grandmother in those years
No.
when she got
Well-
my grandfather to look after.
Yeah.
And she was going out doing any job of any sort, and she went, but she came back, as I say,
Yeah.
and then she had a marvellous life out of being a Christian Science
that's-
practitioner, you
but
see.
that's almost-
But she took it as a...
Yeah.
She wasn't, I think, afraid of anything or anybody.
No.
If you'd walked in, she'd walked in with the Prime Minister, she would have treated him like anybody else.
Yes, that's
you know,
right.
She was that sort of
prepared
person.
to meet
She,
anybody
and she, that way, she did an awful lot of good. She brought people together from marriages, and she did all sorts of
Yeah.
things. And she
Yes,
brought you
yeah.
a sister,
Yeah.
which was
That's
probably
right.
a mixed blessing in some ways for the family.
Oh,
But that's a wonderful,
I've got all of this
Wonderful-
tied down, David.
wonderful
It's all right.
that's a wonderful tie-up that
Carolyn
is that I
found
found up today.
Linda.
at the
She
medical.
started nursing home for
Right.
unmarried mothers.
Oh yes,
Oh,
he
I
doesn't.
see.
And
Yes.
I've got all of this typed down though.
Oh, right,
Yes.
okay then, yeah.
And of
that's
course,
where
Linda. Yes,
came from.
I didn't know that.
Although
tie-up
Linda has
today.
been a godsend to David, I think, and possibly Chris, because she is there, and you know where Linda is, and
Does she live near you?
Birmingham, yeah.
Birmingham.
Yeah, so
They're all in
25
same,
miles.
same,
right.
same sort of spot as we always were.
and you know you could turn up there at any time. She'd cook you something to eat, and but as I said before, she's not. She's a very plain-speaking woman, Linda. There's no, you know, she's not a genteel person, but she's, you know, she's there
She's
and
what-
she's
she's what-
strong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it, yeah.
And she's been strong for her family, hasn't she?
Oh,
Through all
extremely.
their ups and
She
downs.
Well, she's strong
she was
for
very
herself.
ill herself, wasn't she,
She
at
had
one
children
time?
or-
She's she's got
Yeah,
two
two, yeah.
children, Gary
Gary and
and Julie. Yeah, and Gary's about what 43 is he?
Yeah,
And Julie's 40.
No, he'd be 41, yeah.
41 and 40. Julie
Well,
was
42 and, yeah, not
Did
far
you
off.
get Chrissy's address?
Hmm?
Did you get Chrissy's address?
Yeah, I'll give him that.
Where
yeah,
is
You wrote it on a piece of paper.
Sorry, there
that's
it is, yeah, yeah.
We ought to,
Yeah, I was just going to briefly ask, is there any other addresses in Birmingham that you remember that are relevant?
Birmingham addresses. Well, of course, I can remember the Foley Road the same as you can.
Yes, yeah.
I suppose my grandmother's one has Davy Road, but Vesey Road. And
Sorry, your mother's house was...
grandmother's house was in
Grandmother? Oh, so Caroline, yes.
Aunt Caroline. That was Davy Road, Davey, that was. And then they went to Vesey Road.
I've written this down.
Vesey Road was
right.
where they had the maternity home for
Yes, right.
unmarried mothers.
Oh, and that's where the maternity home
Yeah.
was, yeah.
Do you want
Right.
to go and look at records?
And she also gave your mother a 21st birthday party, and your mother got quite a lot of money. And your mother always grumbled to me with a laugh that she said to you, "Now you've had all that money for your birthday, Christine. Now don't you think you should donate some of it?" She said she took all that money off me. She used to sit there in the family, you see, and she'd be listening, and then she'd suddenly say, "Allow me," and everybody would go quiet. That was my grandmother. But she was great fun. If you wanted anything, you went to her. Mm.
So it's just basically those addresses that
Those
you
were
know
her.
of, yeah.
That's where
Yeah.
we had all the family sort of big get-togethers at Vendor, because we got the room there.
Yes,
Mm.
yeah.
Mm.
That
Oh,
sounds
right,
lovely.
okay.
And maybe it's a shame we don't have families like that now.
But
with a
Dad, I
matriarch
mean, if you
and-
get the spelling right, you might find the house might still be there.
Yeah,
no,
that's
it's
right,
Witten.
we
I
should-
should hardly think so.
No.
Aston and Witten, I wouldn't think so.
No.
The four shops at the bottom on the main road, the
We'll go
co-op
and
shops,
look.
my grandfather was the manager of the sort of Overmore manager of those. And then the house was only just up the road from there, so it suited,
Yeah.
as I say, all
That's
all
probably all
sides of the
changed now,
family.
hasn't
But
it?
I should hardly think, you know,
There
Witten,
were still a
Aston,
lot
I
of
think
old
they're pretty
buildings
well.
I don't think
around there.
Aston would have been rebuilt. No,
No,
yeah.
I mean,
No, Aston.
it
no,
was. I
Aston-
mean, it was a very nice area
say
in
that.
the 30s,
yes,
but it
that's
certainly I
right.
don't think I'd want to go
No.
there.
There's
and
not
you
a white
shocked
person
me
in
over
Aston
Ward End.
anymore.
Gosh.
No.
One
No.
of the
Did what you
bombers.
just said?
What? No,
You
what?
said, what did you say?
There's not a white person in Aston. No.
Oh no, and I mean you just told me that one of the bombers was picked up in Ward End, and that
That's
was
right.
where I
Oh,
was
that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
One of them was picked up in Birmingham. Yeah.
Foley Road. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a very
And even God doesn't like it. He sent the tornado there the other day. Didn't
Oh,
it?
that's right. There was
Oh,
a
yes.
tornado
I know.
in Small-
But could you? I mean, it's so strange about the tornado. Only 10 days ago, I'd read that Mum had written down that there was a tornado in Small Heath, Birmingham, in 1931.
No.
Yeah. So I typed in on the laptop. I went onto the internet and typed in tornado in Small Heath. There was the pictures of it
What,
in
1931?
1931, and this was
Yeah.
10 days ago.
Yeah.
And this is right next door to Small Heath.
There's been another one.
And I couldn't believe it. And then they said they put a chap on that remembered the one in Small Heath then. And up until sort of I read that, I never knew, and I don't know anybody else that ever heard that there was a tornado in Birmingham.
That's
then.
amazing.
And the pictures, all the roofs had gone and the windows, just like this,
It's
this
just a
one.
freak thing, isn't it? that
Yeah,
happens?
that's it. Yeah, so I just quickly need to write the names on the back of those pictures, and then we're. Oh, you're right.
Yep, I'm fine.
Oh, they're here, are they? Yeah, right. That's great.
Are you alright, Mum?
Then we'll have to get a move on then. Yes.
With your handbag?
Mm.
You know,
Because the trouble.
Your great grandfather, I say, his wife's family would never see him again. See her again. You see, after she married him. So they didn't know any of the other side at all.
Oh, so just because they got married, they didn't want to know.
She didn't. They didn't like him, but we
No.
never found out why.
Why?
We
Right,
thought at
oh,
the
right.
time it was all the very, very strong anti-German feeling at that
Yeah.
time.
So the real reason
They
is just
just-
that, probably because he was German. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And they wouldn't.
Right.
They never saw it. They never saw her again. So they
Oh.
never.
They'll have to come
Children didn't
again.
know that side.
Yes,
at all.
yes.
Do you think you can put up with us talking about all of
it'd be interesting
this?
for you to talk to Barbara now, because she
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
knows
yeah,
everyone
yeah.
else that's
Yes.
And we will try and compile as much information as we can on the
Are
family
you do
tree.
try to get through? To
Yeah.
really
Oh, we will do,
communicate
definitely.
somehow.
Yeah.
a photocopy
Yeah.
of
So the chief is coming on your right hand side, the German tank coming around on your left hand side. Behind them. By the Second World War, big tanks were going a lot faster. And they needed something that the other team soldiers up with the tank. So they came up with large truck vehicles and then went for after the war, vehicles like this. The whole idea of this vehicle is an armoured personnel carrier to take 10 soldiers into combat. Vehicle that provides the best information to the commander. Because if somebody is actually there on a great way, they can do that with it. Now the German tank is a very important tank in World War II. It was made by the Americans in very large numbers, and it supplied most of the Allied forces, including the British Army in the Second World War. Why it was so important? We started the war with a petrol engine. This is a late war one. It's got a diesel engine in it. Petrol, obviously you all know petrol burns quite quickly. Diesel is much harder to set it on fire, so it's much better for a combat vehicle that might be hit. Nowadays the British Army has a one-fuel policy. All vehicles in the British Army are now driven by diesel. And that also stops that embarrassing moment when people fall out very quickly when you put the wrong fuel in the wrong side of the tank. And you can imagine in the middle of the night in a battlefield, your commanding officer. It's actually got a very much improved gun than the gun they started the war with. When it stops, we're just going to look at that. The German tank starts the war with something called a 75mm gun. That's the size of the hole at the end of the barrel, 7.5 centimetres. How the tank actually works to drive it along? It's got the engine in the back, but on the wheels there's only two wheels at the front of the vehicle actually being driven. The wheels that are resting on the track at the bottom, they're just taking the weight of the tank as it drives along. It's only the two wheels at the very front with the spokes on them, with the teeth on them, they're biting into the track and they're being pushed around. They're being powered by the engine. So the idea is that the tank actually lays down its own roadway, that's the track, it pulls itself along that roadway, and the track is picked up at the rear and flung forward again. The idea of the track is to spread the weight of the tank. got 30 tons of tank there with a Sherman, you would dig yourself into the ground too quickly. And the future's going to go around for you. This was a direct result of what we learned in World War II. By the enemy, we fed up with these things around in our own tank. So they came up with the concept. This is the tank we thought was going to have to fight all the Warsaw tanks or the communist forces during the Cold War. Now the key thing about this tank, you can see it's a lot bigger. It's actually 60 tons compared to 30 tons for the Sherman. It's got a huge gun on it. 120 millimetres of gun on this one compared to 76 on the other one. See that the Keaton is also a bit lower, it's less of a target. Now they did that by making they took out one crew position, there's only now one person in the front of the tank, he's the driver, and he actually drives the tank almost lying on his back in what they call a supine position. The gun is so accurate, they could make the turret. The turret is actually, you can lock onto a target and the gun is fully stabilised, so wherever the hole goes, the gun will still stick on the target. Now you can see they painted green and black, but come off it, you can still see there's a great big lump of metal driving around there. You can hear it. So the commander is taught how to use the landscape to hide his tank. Now, if you can imagine he's attacking towards the ridge line over by the coast vehicle, and he would use the landscape to hide himself for the last possible moment. Now, instead of coming up behind the mound like this, the position he's in now is what we call a turret down position, because he cannot be seen by the opposition over in the distance at all. The crew member here can actually see over the top of the mound with his binoculars, and he can find out the best way forward. Now what a commander of a tank is taught not to do now in the hold down position he can use his main armament, he can find a target, but all he's showing to the enemy is the very front and the very top of the tank, very small target indeed. And it's also where the thickest armour is. So when he's ready, he can fire that gun, and then he'll back that shell. Okay, off he goes, and finds another position before he goes forward. Now if we ask the driver to do something he wouldn't normally do, he's going to go straight forward again, over this side there. He wouldn't normally do this, because he would be exposing his belly armour, which is the thickest, to the enemy. Turns the gun to one side. On the left-hand side, that's their vehicle, they call it a Gagano. That's like a tank without a turret. Oh, they've even got their leader with them. They're not very good for a retaining army, they got lost already. That shows how mobile a tank can be. Now, you couldn't do that in your car, could you, turn on the spot like that? Now this type of vehicle, it was a sort of a cheap way of making a tank. You actually point the whole vehicle where you want the gun to point. So they have to do very, very delicate controls on it. the other vehicle you've got there, that's what we call front radio. If you look on the back of it, that's got a radar, and it's also got the car, it's passing directly down the aircraft, and it's coming to attack the army forward. Oh dear, ladies and gentlemen, come on, you got to let us know what you think about that. Come on, that's pathetic, come on, you want to be racing to the that's more like it. Now all the Mauritanians will do is they position their vehicles where they think the attack's coming from. Okay, so they've got already defend the bridge, so they want to hold it. Now, okay, we can keep there, rolling it down, Mauritanians are going to return fire, so he's backing off, he gets out the way. Get out the way, what? Mauritanians have hit the wrong target there, never mind. So the main thing is, he's got the message back to the main force. They know where to attack, where they're going, here they come. So the Chechen tank comes on, followed by the armoured personnel carrier. We've got the Germans coming up on the left-hand side. So they're putting down suppressive fire on the enemy, on the Mauritanians. And if you look, that's 432, that's got our infantry in. They're the ones who have to actually go on forward on foot and actually follow on the attack. Now the 432, if you can imagine, when they've been bouncing around in the back of that, they could be in the back of that vehicle for an hour or two beforehand. So the driver tries to point the vehicle towards where the enemy are. So when they come out the back, the first thing they probably want to do is throw up, but they've got to be disciplined, they've got to know what way they're attacking. So if we look out that back door, out comes the sergeant, he's coming forward, he's getting our infantry, lining them up, they line up 10 yards or 5 yards apart, that's so we don't have one person to see gun fire, we've got to bring them off of them. Okay, quite important that they keep apart. You see what they call the pepper pot attack, and 5 them forward at a time, Rob Hurricanes are putting down smoke, here they come, and he does that section of the time, he keeps them in a straight line. It's very important that they keep in a straight line. It's nothing to do with the army life and discipline, just for the sake of it. This is to stop you shooting your mate up the bum by accident. Very important that is, you don't want to be shot by your own side. He's got them all together, he's getting them all up, and he's getting them to charge. They're charging hard, look at that, Hurricanes are giving up already. Well done. Flag back up. You'll be pleased to know that you've been taking down your best tonight. What all those different types of vehicles are there for. The principles we've showed you just now hold very true right to this day with the British Army. As I said, we have a veteran here for you to talk to. Please do talk to our veterans and talk to the young soldiers on site today. How were that lot, Sergeant? Well, they're not dead, so all right. Thank you very much for taking part. Yeah, very positive soldiers, that's a good thing. So please, ladies and gentlemen, can you give them a big round of applause? They did very well there.
It's got a little mirror in it.
That round one, that cash box.